It is important to make sure that we're supporting our small businesses.
ECD had an event where they were showing off some of the businesses that had gone through the program. It was really cool to see the excitement that they were like, I had this idea and now it's real. Welcome to another episode of the Something Better podcast. I'm Joe Conroy, your host and the Public Information Officer for the City of Bakersfield. We're going to be talking about something I think is really interesting today. It's the Economic Opportunity Area Grants that are available through our Economic and Community Development Department. And joining us today to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some other things too, but joining us today is friend of the show, Jenni Byers, the Director for the Economic and Community Development Department. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me back.
I think it's been, not quite a year, but we had you on, I think, last time around like Black Friday time, I think.
I think it was your third interview.
I think so, yeah, something like that. And we talked a little bit about small businesses here in town and how you can support them and why it's important, that sort of stuff. But we'll talk a little bit about a different way that small businesses and local businesses can be supported today. But before we jump into that, I do want to do a little bit of a review, I guess, for listeners on what our Economic Community Development Department does. And I think you are maybe the preeminent person to be able to explain that, why we have it and how they support the community.
Economic and Community Development is really kind of different from other city departments in that, we don't do sewer, water, we're not police, fire, but we're really about the quality of life and what it looks like in Bakersfield for our residents. We support neighborhoods, we create economic opportunities, and we also have things like affordable housing and work towards improving our health outcomes for our community.
And you guys have a number of different, divisions or units within the department, and they all got to have a different focus. You want to talk a little bit about those? I know one is your homeless services unit.
It's quite varied what we have. So our homeless services, the team is responsible for accessing grant resources. They distribute them and then also monitor the funding. And so the Economic and Community Development homeless team, they're not the ones who are out on the street. We have other community vitality. We also have the rapid response team. They're the ones that are out on the street, but we look for the funding. We look for the resources.
You guys make it possible.
Yeah, we try to.
It's something you don't probably think about, especially if you're in the public. You may not think like, oh, you had to get money for that. Everybody just assumes, well, if you're going to have the money to do this, and it's not always that simple. And so that's an important team to be able to go and track down that either state or federal funding to be able to address these issues that the public has.
Yeah, it's really hard. If we were to rely 100% just on the city budget for a lot of these items, it would just be very difficult. And so our team across the board is always looking for grant opportunities, and we've gotten real good at writing grants.
That's good. Yeah. It's not an easy skill. And another unit of your team is, it maybe goes hand in hand with homelessness a little bit, is the affordable housing unit that you guys have. Can you talk a little bit about what they do for you?
Yeah, so the affordable housing team, we're really looking at, again, resources. And so we have some federal resources that we get. We go for the state grants, and then the city council has provided an affordable housing trust fund. And with that, we can really see an increase in the housing since we've had such a dedicated team working towards this. We tripled the number of affordable housing units this year over last year. And so with some dedication, you can really see the impact it has. We have more that are opening soon. We continue to work with developers. Affordable housing overall isn't really affordable, and it's because it is income qualified, but with that income qualification, it also comes with the maximum rent that you can get. And so it's hard to get a single loan. Our developers, they have to get 4 to 8 different resources. And so by the city having the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, from trying to get things from the state like local housing trust fund resources, permanent local housing allocation, we also have gone for home funds, which is a federal resource. We're just out there looking for any dime we can put together to help with these units.
Yeah, you guys are pretty good at searching the couch cushions, I take it.
We are.
Yeah, and then the last, and I'll even kind of pair these together because they're in your the department's name. You have economic development and then community development. What do they do and how do they work?
Economic development is really about attraction, retention, and expansion of either existing businesses, new businesses. And so we have a lot of team members that work on small businesses, but also industrial attraction. How is it that we can get some of these large-scale companies to come to our region to provide job opportunities? And so that's what our economic development team does, as they look to work with our businesses. We also serve as a liaison to the business community. And what I mean by that is when you have a business that's trying to get through either business license or not really sure, we work with our Chamber of Commerce's. We have agreements with the Hispanic Chamber. They do courses for their business owners to know the process. And it's sometimes a difficult process if you're trying to get through permitting or if you're trying to get through things that's not your forte. What you're good at is making widgets. That doesn't mean you're good at getting through the government process. And so that's one of our roles as well. And then community development really is about improving our neighborhoods by addressing different we call them indices. And so we use the state's CalEnviroscreen, and that tracks 21 different metrics, things like income, education levels, home ownership. We were talking a little bit about that, and I talk about home ownership a lot, and that's one of the things affordable housing does. But citywide, it's about 60% home ownership. But then you look at some of our disadvantaged neighborhoods, and it's more like 15 to 20%. And when you have such a low home ownership in an area, you really find a different level of connection to that community. And I think it's one of the things that makes Bakersfield great is if you live in a certain neighborhood, if you're from Laurel Glen, I'm from Laurel Glen when I was in high school, and it's a thing, you start to connect to the neighborhood that you either grew up in or that you currently live in, and you go to the shopping there and you do all those things. And so community
it's
development.
part of that putting down roots. I mean, you know, if you're renting, you're kind of not transient, but you're able to move a little more freely, or you might have to move a little more freely because your rent might change and you might need to find something else. But if you've taken a mortgage and you're buying a house or you own the house, like you feel a little more, I mean, you do feel the more ownership of that and as more of that part of that community, I think, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so what we've done from these indices, we did create 2 very focused neighborhoods that we call prosperity neighborhoods. As you know, Bakersfield's the 9th largest city in the state. We're trailing Oakland by about 6,000 residents, and so we're really close to being the 8th largest city in California. And when you have an elephant that big, that's 151 square miles, what do you bite off first? And so we have these 2 prosperity neighborhoods that we evaluated. We went to the community. They're called NIMO for Niles Monterey, and also MLK. And what we did was we met with the residents to find out what they felt their greatest barrier to things like safety, workforce opportunity, increased financial literacy. How do you build assets? How do you reduce your debt? And then also access to healthcare. And so what we discovered was the city doesn't have to solve every problem there is. And now we're partnering with nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity to get more home ownership. We partner with CapK for home rehab programs. Strata Credit Union is doing some financial literacy in the community. Bakersfield Adult School is one of the partners, just trying to find workforce development skills. But another metric that was interesting was the community felt that they needed more early childhood education. So we work with Children First, Bakersfield City School District. I can't even name all of the community partners we have. But the goal is to see, can we make improvements if we have dedicated efforts? And then how do we replicate that type of program throughout the city? So that's one of the things, that's I think the best example of what community development is. Seeing what the needs are in the community, whether it's curb gutter sidewalks, safe routes to school, how do we assist in that?
Yeah, finding a creative solution to a problem that maybe we either didn't know existed or had known but didn't really know how to address. So that's really cool. I mean, you guys have a really cool department. Eric and I were talking before, and we were talking with you before, that you guys have so much stuff going on. Like there's always stuff. We could do an episode all the time with you guys. We do need to share the love with everybody else. And to be honest, what we just talked about was probably enough that we could have done an episode just right here and be done. But we do have a little bit more to get to, and especially if you're maybe a business owner or somebody that is struggling, a small business owner here in town, that there's opportunities available to you through the city and through the Economic Community Development Department. And really one of those is the Economic Opportunity Area, or EOA grants. Can you talk a little bit about what an EOA grant is? Why somebody, or why the city, I guess, is offering those and making those available?
Yeah, we really kind of have to go back in time. So the city used to have, the state of California used to have redevelopment agencies, and it again was very intense focus on building out and making improvements. It was eliminated in 2012, and the city of Bakersfield in 2016 came up with a concept, this economic opportunity area. How do we assist businesses in some of our older neighborhoods where you might have some failing infrastructure? We know in downtown, I know of one business that they want to expand, but the problem is the water lines are too short or not wide enough, and that's one of the infrastructure problems we have. But also several of our downtown businesses don't have things like fire sprinklers. And fire sprinklers to put into a building that's 80 years old, can cost up to $100,000. It's really expensive, where in some of the newer neighborhoods, you don't have those same barriers to open. And so that was the goal of the economic opportunity area, was to look at some of our older neighborhoods and see if there wasn't a way to provide funding for facade improvements, infrastructure, get additional businesses to make that decision. There's a lot of employees in the downtown area, and so how do you have access to services? But we have 7 areas. We have 7 economic opportunity areas. Council provides funding each year for that. And it is interesting because it is funding from our Measure N, our public safety vital services, 1 cent sales tax, but it's a sales tax. And if we can find ways to increase the sales tax that the city receives, then that's what pays for police, fire, some of these other things that we kind of associate PSVS with.
Yeah.
And so it is important to make sure that we're supporting our small businesses. They are the major employer in our community. And so having this resource has been so beneficial. I think we've done a little over 100 agreements in the 7 EOA areas. And so you really see a lot of improvements to these businesses that we've served.
So tell me a little bit about how that works. How do you get one, and what can you use it for? What would somebody that was maybe hearing this think, like, am I eligible for this, and what would they need to know?
So we do have it on our webpage, but it also has its own email address, eoa@bakersfieldcity.us. And we have 3 staff members that work on the program. We have the areas, and so it is very defined areas that we have currently. We're taking an item to one of the city council committees on September 22nd, to our Finance, Economic Development, and Jobs Council Committee, to talk about maybe having some areas also in the Southwest, because currently all of our EOAs are east of State Route 99. And we know that there's also, some shopping centers that have lost their major tenant. And so you start to see the smaller spaces also vacate and become blighted. And so we are evaluating right now some areas, like I said, south or west of State Route 99.
Okay, very cool. And I think one of the things you touched on there with the PSVS funding, it's kind of self-feeding a little bit. It's, we use this money to help these businesses, but then they can, expand or continue to stay in business or do something new or something. and then whatever they're bringing in through their revenue gets paid into the PSVS tax measure, and then that goes to other things as well. So it's kind of this self-feeding system a little bit. And people, I think, maybe don't realize that. It's almost looks like it's free money that we're doing, but no, it's helping everybody in the long run. So that's really cool. And something else that we had talked about before was the Launchpad entrepreneurship program that runs through you guys, and you guys partner with, I think, BC for that, right?
Yeah, we partner with KCCD Launchpad to do an entrepreneurship program. There was a round 1, and we are currently working with round 2. T. Johnson leads that program out, and it's just an amazing program for entrepreneurs or people who want to take their side hustle to the next level, doing a business plan, making sure that you have that. But through this entrepreneurship grant, we've also kind of built out what the infrastructure looks like. We've connected to the credit unions. We have a couple of credit unions here in town that are CDFIs, which is a community development financial institution. And so they also can provide funding for different businesses that wouldn't typically be able to get starting loans with some of our larger banks. And so that's one of the ways. And then again, it's about knowing who to talk to if you get stuck somewhere in the community, whether you're struggling with your landlord, whether you're struggling to get access to resources in the economic opportunity area. One of the statistics I love about our entrepreneurship program, we required them to provide us different metrics, and one of them that they were able to show is it created 290 jobs.
Wow.
Just through entrepreneurs going, I want to make more of this, and opening businesses and hiring individuals. And so it's really been so successful, and that's why we went with the 2.0.
That's awesome. I went to, I don't know if you'd call it a graduation, but somebody, or it was BC had an event where they were showing off some of the businesses that had gone through the program and had made it through and were established now through thanks to the program and thanks to that help. And to see them, like the excitement on their faces that they were able to do this, and you're not doing it on your own, you're getting help, and that's what's nice about it, is that they're able to do something that maybe they couldn't have done on their own, without some of that experience and knowledge of, like you said, where to go, who to talk to, how to, make a business plan. And it was really cool to see the excitement that they were like, I had this idea and now it's real. And that was really cool. So I do want to circle back EOA. If you're listening, folks, and you're interested or you have questions about EOA grants, the email address I think was eoa@bakersfieldcity.us. So if you have questions, reach out to our economic community development folks, and they will be happy to help you. I know for a fact, because all those people on there are awesome. I go down and visit Jenni a lot, and so anyway, I do want to thank you again for coming on and being here and talking about these things. These are really cool programs and things that maybe people don't realize are available to them, and can really make a difference. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have you on again to talk about all the other programs we haven't gotten to yet.
I know, we didn't even scratch workforce development. We have a program for small contractors.
We have to save something for you to come back.
I know. Okay, fine.
So, but we'll definitely have you back. So again, thank you, Jenni, and thank you for ECD and for everything that you guys are doing down there. We really appreciate it. And of course, thank you all for listening today, and be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss an episode and don't miss all the fun, exciting things happening at ECD and the rest of the city. So again, I'm Joe Conroy. This is the Something Better podcast, and thanks for joining us.